Comrades and friends, thank you for coming to this one-day party school that the Communist Party of Great Britain, Marxist-Leninists, is holding. And it's very, very pleasant to see some fresh faces, people I certainly haven't met before, and some of you may not. And I'd like to especially welcome the new people. I think even the most dull-witted person living in the world must now get an idea of the life under capitalism and what's going on. And so that it doesn't get lost in the translation, I'd like to say from the beginning, even if its manifestation first started in the financial sphere, even if a lot of stuff that is written in the press is about banks and finance, at the bottom of it is production. It's a crisis of overproduction, which manifests itself first in the financial sphere and then percolates through to everywhere. But I also suggest that before it appears in the financial sphere, there's already a basis laid for it in the sphere of production, in the sphere of overproduction, whereby simply what is produced cannot be sold. And that feeds into the system whereby people are not able to pay for their mortgages, people are not able to buy the goods that are in shops, people are not able to buy things that are produced under capitalism. And what I'd like to do is, by way of starting, I'd like to read you a quotation from Engels, and this will disabuse anyone who thinks Marxism is old hat, it's out of fashion, or as the bourgeois ideologues until recently used to say, it is dead, it's a failed philosophy, it's not an economics worthy of consideration. Because they've been forced by the present economic crisis to actually seriously consider it. Even people who do not understand it have dusted off their copies of Capital and started reading. And bourgeois ministers in Germany, various journalists, etc. The quotation from Engels is from his pamphlet, Socialism, Utopian and Scientific. Commerce is at a standstill, the markets are glutted, products accumulate, as multitudinous as they are unsaleable. Hard cash disappears, credit vanishes, factories are closed. The mass of the workers are in want of the means of subsistence because they produced too much of the means of subsistence. Bankruptcy follows upon bankruptcy, execution upon execution. Does it sound familiar to you? Do you see it represented in real life, or is it just some airy-fairy theoretical stuff? The thrust of the quotation that I've just read to you is that under the conditions of capitalism, humanity starves because humanity has produced too much. Prior to capitalism, humanity in various parts of the world did starve, did go without the essentials of life, didn't have enough clothing, didn't have enough housing, but that was because there were not enough of the means of production, there were not enough of the articles of consumption. For the first time, you got a society where humanity actually goes through the tortures of hunger, cold, homelessness, because there are too many means of production. If I can illustrate this by an example which I have given in the past, and if you feel bored with it, please forgive me, because it's a very easy way of explaining the economics under capitalism. In the 30s, there was this story of a small child of a mining family in the United States of America saying to his mother, the house was very cold, could she put some coal in the fire? She said no, they didn't have any coal because they didn't have the money to buy the coal. Why not, says the child? Because your father has lost a job. Why has he lost a job? Because there's too much coal and it cannot be sold. So you have heaps of coal lying here, lying unsold, and there are millions of people who are dying of hypothermia because they cannot afford to get that coal. That is the economics of capitalism. And then you will be told that this is the end destination of humanity. Capitalism is what humanity has worked for, and that is what it has wanted to live with, and that is what it will to the end of the planet, if you like. Now, this economics is bankrupt economics that compared with which the belief in virgin birth and voodoo magic almost sounds like the epitome of scientific understanding of the world. And that's what capitalism is actually doing. And it's doing so because under the conditions of capitalism, means of production cannot be utilized unless and until they have first been converted into capital. You can't say, we got 500,000, it's just an example, I'm not giving the exact figure. You can't just say there are 500,000 construction workers, they're doing nothing. And here we got the materials for constructing houses, why don't we put together? That's what you will do in any rational society which plans production for the needs of its people. You can't do that because before these workers can be put to work, before the means of production can be utilized by living labor, before dead labor can be used by living labor, then somebody's got to be able to make some money out of it. And you can't make money if there's an oversupply of houses. Now, oversupply sounds absolutely mad in view of the fact that there are millions of people who don't have a decent place to live in. There is oversupply because it's oversupply in relation to the demand. And demand under capitalist conditions means not need, it means that somebody must be able to back up his need with money, must be able to buy things. So unless and until the construction industry are able to sell houses and make a profit, then these workers and the means of production cannot be put to work. And what does it show? It simply shows that under the conditions of capitalism, production takes place as though there is no tomorrow. The ability of capitalism to produce is limitless. It literally can produce at an exponential scale. But the laws of the market work quite differently. The market does not expand because the ultimate purchasers of what is produced by industry are the masses of people. And since the raison d'etre of production under the conditions of capitalism, since the whole rationale, since the whole basis for production is the self-aggrandizement of capital, since its function is to increase the share of capital in what is produced, there is less and less left for the working masses to utilize. And in those circumstances, there comes a barrier. And the biggest barrier to capitalist production is capital itself, because it takes away the ability of the masses of people to use what has been produced. And it just shows that capitalism has reached a stage whereby it is out of date. It no longer actually is fit to serve humanity. There was a time when feudalism was being crushed and capitalism was an advanced system, and it took humanity forward. And one of the things it did was it created a world market, it brought various peoples of the world together, and it created the productivity of labor which was unheard of and unprecedented. But now it's reached a stage whereby production is social. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of workers around the world cooperate with each other to produce something which eventually is gobbled up by owners of capital, by private monopolies, which are becoming fewer and fewer as concentration of capital increases.